I can hear you clearly, sir.
Assignment that I gave to you, which is this month
Yes, sir.
of the year. So the simple projects and what is all about this stuff is just for you to know about the basic JavaScript that I have talked about. What are the JavaScript stuff that you need here? You need the form event, which is the submit event. You need to be able to get the input or whatever the user type on the form and process it and display some text out to the user. So this is the application. I hope you can see my screen. So this is the application, and what it's all about. You put the number from 1 to 12, and once you click on check month, as you can see, it will display the text which is corresponding to the month that you pick. You can see here when it is 6 or when it is 12, then the month is going to be December. And if you input anything that is not correct, that means if you input anything that is not 1 to 12, it's going to give you a error. And this is what we want to build, or this is what I asked you to build, but I'm going to be giving solution to this. So we're going to start from the CSS, the HTML part, because the first thing you need to do is to generate the page content. And the next thing you style it, as you can see here, is just the basic styling, and that's what we're going to do too. Just add a little bit of CSS, and we focus on the main part of the site, which is the code, or which is what you are seeing on the screen right now. When you input any number between 1 to 12, it will give you the corresponding month in text. That's the reason why I'm calling this project month name. So I'm calling it month name. You can call it anything you want. And as you can see, I've already set up the basic content for the page there. So the next thing we need to do is to build the main area that we have there. And as you can see from here, if you want to arrange the HTML, you know that we have a container here. And inside the container, we have this title, followed by the input, and followed by this button. And you know that if you want to group them together, we have the elements that we used to use. For example, here now, we can use the main element to represent this entire box. And inside that box, we're going to have our H1 for the title. Then inside the place too, we are going to have form. And why am I putting it inside the form? Is because we want to be able to listen for submit on that form. So anytime you input the number and you click on this button, it's going to trigger the event. And in order for us to have that event, we need to have the controls inside the form. So inside our form, we're going to have the input and we're going to have the button. And once you click on the button, the event of submit is going to fire on the form. And from our JavaScript, we listen for that submit event. And once we listen for it and the stuff is fired, we look for the content that is inside this box. Then based on the number that the user, or based on whatever the user type inside that box, we show the month, we either show the month or we give them error message, just like what is going on the page. So if I scroll back, as you can see, the message that is coming out is please enter a value number between 1 and 12 there. So you're going to see how we're going to do all these things. Before I go, I'm supposed to have the element for this box too, even though it's something that is going to be generated on the fly, but we need to do the design down based on our styling that we want to apply on it. Because when you input a correct number, I actually want to differentiate them from error and sources. So if there is any error, the color on the text is going to be red. If there is no error, then the color on it is going to be green, or anything you want to use. Because right now, this thing is not differentiating between error and the normal message, which is not good when you are building a visual stuff to the user. But the functionality is there, but the visual is not complete, and we're going to be adding that. So the next thing we need to do now is to go into our code and start putting everything together the way it's supposed to be. So I'm going to move it into one side so that we can be seeing the two of them at the same time. So let me drag it to one side here. and our code is going to be at the other end. So inside the body, I said we're going to have main element, which is what is going to represent that white box. So inside the white box, we're going to have the H1, which is going to hold the title, and I have seen this, which is the month of the year. Then after this, the next thing you need to have is the form, because this is the one that is going to trigger the action anytime the button is clicked. So we are not submitting the form to anywhere. We want to process it by ourselves, so we don't need that action. And inside this form, we need to have the input. But what type of input do we need? We need input type of number. So this thing that you see here, in order for the browser to give you this kind of stuff, you need to use input type of number. And again too, if you look at the application, I think it have a placeholder here. So there's a placeholder inside it. When you don't have anything inside the box, this is the text that is going to show. And when you have something, then it's going to replace this text with whatever the user types. So we need to have the placeholder for it. And inside the placeholder, we're going to have enter a number, which is going to be 1 to 12 like this, because we're telling them, oh, we know that the month is between 1 and 12. So there's no way you'll be inputting any other number, and you are giving the hint to the user that this is what they need to type. So after this, we have the button, and inside our button, we have this check month like this. So this is the HTML part there. But before I go, I want to add this p tag. This is something we're going to be generating from, or this is something we're going to be generating from JavaScript later on. But for now, I will just add it there because of the CSS. So here we're going to have, let me see the message that they are using. The message too is going to come from JavaScript, okay? Depending on the type of the message, whether it is error or the successful one. So for this one now, the month is April. This is just a demo. This is not the correct stuff that will be there. This is just for us to be able to style it before we start applying JavaScript. And again, I'm going to have another P, but this P here is going to have class error. So this one too is not what is going to be there. This is just for me to see the styling when I'm dealing with CSS. By the time I'm done with the CSS, I will remove all of them because we are going to be generating them from the JavaScript parts there like that. So, and it's not going to be two like this, but in order for me to see the two of them at once, because if you look at it, there's no way you'll be seeing the message for the success and the error at the same time. No. But right now, I'm putting the two of them together so that I can apply my CSS, and once I'm done with the CSS, I will remove them and we'll be generating them directly from JavaScript later on. So the way you do your own, that you now list everything from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12. That's waste of typing. It will work if you do it correctly, but what if you now have a list that is like 100? Are you not going to keep typing all of them one by one? No, that's not how to do it. Because this thing all of them cannot happen at the same time. It's only one that is going to print out based on what the user picks. So what you now need to do is in your JavaScript that you're going to add the condition, and based on the one that matches that condition, then you have to put the message and you do the necessary stuff, and you're going to see how to do everything. So we have this content. Let me go back to the page, and as you can see, we have all these items, but it's not style. So we need to apply our CSS. So you know the gist already. The first thing we need to do some basic reset by doing the P0, M0, box sizing, and so forth like that. So all those things, they are basic stuff that we have been doing right from day one there. So box sizing here is going to be sizing, box sizing. So it's going to be border box like this. So I don't like the font that is using right now. So font family like this. I'm going to use this system UI, come outside VS Code, what's going on. All right, so this system UI, save, and we should have, yes. So now we have it on the page because my HTML is connected to the CSS already. I don't need to be explaining all this one because I've been doing it for the past how many months now. So after this, we need to select the body so that we can center what is inside it. So the body is going to have width of 100% like this. Again, The max width is going to be 100% if you want to do this, which I don't even need to add it. So the minimum height of this stuff is going to be 100 VH because we want it to always cover the screen where you are using this thing from, whether it's on the mobile or it's on the desktop or any screen. We want this thing to cover the browser height there as minimum because we know that our content is not going to be up to that on some screen, but we want this thing to maintain this particular stuff. So we need to align it to center by displaying as flex, align item center, justify content center, and once this thing is saved now, as you can see, it's going to move the box, which is our main element, to the center of the page. And if this thing now, if you go to another screen, as you can see, it always do the same thing because the body is covering the entire 100% of the screen that you have there, like that. So the next thing we need to do is to talk to our main element because it's the one that actually holds the content. So we need to display it as flex because I want to be able to place them on top of each other there. Then flex direction here is going to be column. Then after that, I want to give a gap of around that 1 rem, so which is going to give back between this month and the form. Don't forget there are two things inside our main element. We have the h1 and we have the form. So it's going to space this h1 from the form once everything is saved. Yeah, so now, so what do we need to do? We need to give this thing background because I can see here that it is white. As you can see, it's white color, and at the same time, there is a shadow. And that's why you see that it's being lifted up on top of this box here. So we need to give it the background, which I'm going to use white. My keyboard, let me change it back to US. All right, so I'm going to give it white. Let me just pick all this stuff that AI is giving me, and as you can see here, we have the box. But I don't like this white. I want to use the same thing as this background so that the design is going to look nice, not this F1 like this. So save, and it's going to make the design to look nice, but you might not be able to see it there. So let me just drag it down a little bit and save. No, I don't like it. Line is off. Save. Yeah, I think this one is perfect. So we have the box, and inside this box, don't forget we have the form. So we need to style that one too. So we need to display our form as a flex because look at the inputs and the button, they are side by side because by default they are inline. So we don't want it to be like that. So we need to use our flex direction to be column like this. Again, what else? We need to use gap maybe around this 1 rem or so. Let me use 1 rem here, and here let me use 1.5 so that the title will be far away from it. Then from here now, we should have all this content on top of each other once it's saved. Yeah, so as you can see now, we have it the way we want it to be. Can you see right now? So it's showing this arrow that you can use to move this up and down. And the way it displayed is depending on the browser that you're using. So if you open another browser, it will display in a different way. So each browser implement their own arrow there like that. And as you can see, it's not coming out until you go there. If you go to another browser, whether you are there or you are not there, you always see it. But I'm using Edge right now. So that's why it looks like that. So after this form has been styled, what else do we need to do? We need to go into our inputs because if you look at it now, there is no space inside this box. So we need to add some space inside the box, which I'm going to use a padding, and 10.25 rem should be okay there like that. So it's saving. What's wrong with VS Code today? All right, so now as you can see, we have enough space, but I think we can add more to the left and right. So this should be 0.375 rem, which is 6 pixels. Yeah, so on top and bottom, that's 4 pixels. Left and right should be 6 pixels like this. So let me check what we are following. So yeah, so think it's having a radius, but let me leave it like that. So the next thing we need to do now is to start our button. And if you look at its own button here, it's not wide like my own. So what is going on is because we display this parent as flex, and by default every item that is inside it, they are going to stretch. But you can talk to it that you don't want it to be stretched, you want it to maintain a particular width. And there is different way of solving this problem depending on which step that you want to follow. One way of doing it is by talking to the parent to align everything to center. But if you do it like that, it will make sure that it will short everything and it will move them to center. So you have to talk to any one of them, anyone that you want it to cover the entire parent, and you have to go inside it and give it 100%. Or you go to the specific one that you need and you give it the size that you want it to maintain. This is what I'm saying here. So what we can do here is to use align item center. And once align item center is there, you see that it's going to, can you see, it's going to move them to the center, because it will not allow them to stretch again. It will move everything to center. And as you can see, it's affecting this box too. But if you want, you can actually give it width of 100%. So which means it always cover its parent instead of it to be using this main width that is set by default on your input. And as you can see now, it's taking what we want it to do. So if you don't want to use this method, another way of doing this thing is by going to the button directly. What you can do here is to give it max width. So which means whatever the weight of this box, don't go more than the content that is inside it. So it's going to be max content. What does this mean? Whatever the width of this box, it will check the content that is inside it. And whatever that is inside it, that's what it's going to use as its maximum width. Like that, can you see now? But now it's not at the center. So how do we move it at the center? One way of doing it is by distributing the margin of left and right as auto. So here we can just use margin inline, which is going to be auto. And what are you saying here is that the margin of the left and the right should be divided into two and shared between each one of them. As you can see, it's going to go to the center. So there are different ways of solving the stuff, and that's the reason why I kind of bring in all these CSS property that time, because it's not every time that you're going to be doing things in one way. You can do it in different way. So it all depends on which way that you want to follow there, like that. So I'll go with this one. So inside this button, we need to apply padding because there is no space inside that box. So on the top at the bottom, like let me just use this value. And once we save, and as you can see, we have the button, but the button is not showing is something that is clickable. So we need to use our cursor, which is going to be pointer like this. And now once we save, you see that the pointer is going to be there instead of the hand. Can you see now? So we have it. So another thing we need to do is to change the background to green color, and I want to reuse this green color down here. And since it's something I want to reuse, so it'd be nice for us to create a variable. And I want to make it a global variable so that I can use it everywhere that I need it on the page. So here I'm going to call it the green, and it's going to be green. This is not the green I want because this is too sharp. I don't like this green. So I'm going to find a custom green here like this. Let me see, somewhere around here. All right, so this one should be it. Again too, I need another one for red, which is what we're going to be using when there is a error. That means user is not inputting 1 to 12, they're inputting something else. So we want to show this color for red. So here now, instead of us mentioning this green, what we can do is to recall our variable. And once this thing is called, we should have the background. So we need to change the colors to white. The color should be white. Again, too, I don't like that border. Border should be none because we don't need it. And again, we need the border radius of around this 0.25, just a little bit of a curve around the button. So save, and once everything is saved successfully, you're going to see that this thing is going to display correctly on the screen. Yeah, so now we have a nice button. But this button is not even giving the user feedback that they are on top of it. So I want to do something here. So anytime the button is over, I just want to reduce the opacity so that it gives this visual to the user that something is going on there. For example, like this 0.75, which is really much, it's just going to dim the button. As you can see, it's going to add this kind of a visual representation that you're actually on this button, like something is going on this button, like this. Or another thing you can do is just to string the button a little bit. It all depends on the design, but I won't go too much on this. This is the only thing I will just add. Again, to this our stuff here, this our inputs. I want to do some stuff with it, so we're going to give it a border radius of this 0.5. So border should be because I want to change that border too. I don't like the border that is there, so the border should be 1 pixels solid gray, but this is not going to be this gray like that. I'm going to reduce it because the thing is too much, so I'm going to make it closer to this white, and once we save, it's going to give us this nice design. And again too, I don't like this black line that is coming out when it is focused, so you can change that one too. So input, anytime it is focused, that thing that is coming out is known as outline. So we want to change the outline, so which is going to be 1 pixels solid, whatever stuff you want to use. For example, like the application we are following, I think is changing to blue because of the browser that person is using. So depending on the browser, each browser will come with their own color, but I think I'm going to go with the green color that we are using in our application. So once it's clicked, as you can see, the color is going to change to green. But anytime this inputs, because we are still going to we are going to do some stuff later on as an assignment on this thing. So what you are going to be doing later on in the functionality is that anytime you input this in there, no, so anytime there is a class error on the input and it is focused, we need to add focus here. So anytime it has class error and it is focused, so the outline is going to be different. The outline is going to be 1 pixels like this, then solid the red that we have. So which means we are giving a visual representation to the user that, okay, well, this thing actually have error. We are expecting you to type 1 to 12, but you are typing like 700 or 200 or minus 20. That's all we are asking from you. We want you to type something that is more than that. So now save it. You will not see anything because the stuff is not having class error. So if you click on it, it will still be showing green. But once we add this class error on it, you see it that anytime it is now focused, the color you'll be seeing is going to be red. Once this thing is done, can you see now? The color now is going to be red. And this thing, you will be the one that is going to solve it. This is going to be as an assignment for you. Anytime the input number that is not between 1 to 12, you have to add this class on the input. But if the number that input is normal there, then you don't add the class. So that's going to be an assignment. But for now, let's continue with the other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be working on the message. So let's move on to the message before diving into the main thing, which is the JavaScript part. So we have the P on our page. So for the first, I want to reduce the font size because by default is using 16 pixels. All fonts, all H1, the P tag are using 16 pixels by default because that's what the browser is using, except if you change your browser setting or phone setting. So yeah, I don't want to use that. I want to use 14 pixels, and 14 pixels is 0.875 RAM because I've worked with all this number a lot, so I know their value, and as you can see, it's showing 14px already, like that. If you have the extension, you can put 14 pixels and convert it, but I know the number already, so I don't need to do that. So yeah, I need to move them to the center, so we need to use text align center like this. So, and what else do we need to do? So this thing here is going to have a font width of 600, like this, because I want it to be bold, not just the normal way it is here. So I want it to be like this. But if there is any class error on the P, what do you want to do? we want to change the color to that our red color. That's just the stuff, which is going to change the second one. So the first one is going to be this, the second one is going to be the other one. But I mentioned it when we want to start this in that I want the success one to have a green color. So by default, the color is going to be green. So when you don't have any class error on the p tag, it's going to use green by default. But when there is class error on it, as you can see, the color will switch to red. These are just basic CSS stuff that we've talked about. So now we are done with the basic HTML stuff. So all this one they are not needed. It's just for us to see the styling. This thing is going to be generated directly from the JavaScript file. Because if you look at the application we are trying to build, there is nothing like that before you start typing. But once you type something here and you now click on check, that's when the message is going to come outside. And that's the reason why you see that I'm not having them here. So the one that is going to come outside is depending on the month that you put here. So if the month is valid, we display the text without the class error. But if it's not valid, then we generate this kind of a p tag from our JavaScript. So we either generate this type of p tag or this type of p tag based on the this thing that we have there, like that. So what do we need to do? The next thing we need to do now is to connect to our JavaScript, because now the user can input number inside this box. But now if you click on check, it will just reload the page because the browser is going to handle the form automatically. We don't want the browser to handle the form for us. We want to be the one that is going to handle everything that the user type inside the box. And how do we do that? So how do we do that? You know, the first thing we need to do is to connect our HTML page to the JavaScript file. And how do we do that? I've talked about all this in the previous classes there. So here I will just go straight forward to it. So we need to call our script with the source. What's the source? Whatever JavaScript file you want to connect to. And as you can see the folder structure here, I have this index.html, index.js, and this style.css, which are the file that we need. So now I need to connect to my index.js, which is the JavaScript file that I want to connect to. And in order for us to see that this thing has been connected successfully, we can do some console log, which is going to print out this welcome to JS. So save, and on the console, we should see a message coming out that welcome to JS. And as you can see, that means the JavaScript file is connected to the HTML file. So what do we need to do? Because the first thing you should always do is to know what you are trying to solve. You don't just dive into the coding straightforward. First, you need to plan. And how do you plan? You need to know what you want to do. Again, what are we trying to do here? What we are trying to do is to input number here. Based on the number you put here, we click on check mark. So if it is valid, that means a number between 1 and 12 inclusive, then we display the month text under it. But if it's not valid, then we display error message. So we know what we want to do now. So how do we achieve that? That's the next thing. The first thing is, what do you want to do? Then the next thing is, how do you achieve what you want to do? So the next thing we need to do now is how. And under the how, before you can have access to any of this content, you need to talk to them from JavaScript. And how do you talk to them from JavaScript? You need to connect to them. And how do you connect to them? We need to do the selection by using the DOM properties to have access to all the elements that we have on the page. But not all of them. The only thing we need here is this input. We don't even need the input directly. We need the form. Then inside the form, we can interact with any of these two buttons here, because anything that is inside the form, they are part of the form controls, like your inputs, the button, and so forth like that. All those form control, the forms knows about them, and from the form you can have access to them by using all the techniques that we've talked about there. So here I'm going to be selecting my form, which is going to be, I'm going to call it month form like this. So month, or let me just say month number form. So, and how do we have access to it? We just need to use our document, then query selector, so that we can query the stuff. That means look for it on talking to the document. I'm looking for something in you, so give me this form, and from there we have access to it. And what do we need to do? The next thing we need to do now is to add to listen for the events, because we want to do something when this button is clicked, not that when we load the page. We don't want the thing to just run when we load the page. No, the only time it's going to run is when the user click on the button. And we have different events that you can use, like click and so forth like that. But here now we have this button and the input inside the form. So, and you know that the form is going to get triggered anytime you click on any button that is inside it. So any button that is not of type button inside the form, they are going to trigger the submission there like that. So, and what can we do now? What we can just do is to add event listener. I showed you different way. I've already shown you different way of adding event listener to your element, but I always prefer this method. So what type of events do we want to listen for on the form? As you can see, there are different type of events that you can listen for. But the one I want right now is submit. It's when you submit. This is when this event is fired that I want to do something. But what do you want to do? So that's the second stuff you have to pass it. To which function do you want to run when this event occur? So you are going to pass it as a second parameter to this add event listener. So here I'm going to be passing a function. I'm using function here. Don't forget, I've talked about different ways of representing function too. So this one is not something I'm supposed to be going back to. So this function here, I want to run it anytime there is a submission on the form. So anytime someone triggered submission on this form, I want to run this function there like that. For example, here now, what I can just do is to console log out the events that occur. So anytime you submit the form, it's just going to console log out the events that occur. For example, here, just click on the number, click on check, and as you can see, the thing quickly flash because the browser is reloading the page. So we don't want the browser to handle this thing for us. So we need to hijack the stuff from the browser. So how do you hijack any action from the browser? I've talked about it. We need to use prevent default on your event. So the event that is being sent to you, that is this method here that you can use. And what it's going to do, whatever action that the browser is going to carry out anytime this event occur, you are stopping it on this line. So you are talking to the browser that whatever you used to do before, when this event occur, don't do it. Just stop it. Then after this line, I want to do whatever I want. So now if this thing is saved, once this thing is saved, and we go back to the page, now click on any number again, as you can see, is not reloading the page again because we've hijacked whatever the browser used to do anytime the form is submitted. And as you can see, we have access to all the information about the event that occurred. And as you can see, the type of event is submit event. And don't forget, on it, we have this target. That target is whatever the element that triggered the event there like that. And as you can see, it is form, and inside the form, we have access to input. And that's the reason why I'm not selecting the input or the button at the top here, because they are part of the form. And since they are part of the form, you have access to them directly from the form. So for us to have access to this input, we just use the index 0. If you need access to the button, we use index 1. But if you don't want to do it like that, you can actually select this your input directly yourself. So you can do it directly from here. And once this thing is fired, then you have access to it too. Anyway, and that's the thing about JavaScript. You can do things in different ways. Nobody is stopping you from using that method or this other method that I want to use. It's going to work. So for example here, I can get the input element like this, which is going to be the document query selector like this. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for input. So this is one way to get the input element, and from there now we can console log it out. So this is the input element like this. Again, another method of getting it here. So this is going to be input element 2. because they have to be different names. So here we can use our event, then targets like this. So once we get to the target, we have access to 0. So this is going to be our, let me put it, input 1 so that we can differentiate them. And again, this is going to be input 2, and this one is going to have 2 in front of it, like this. So let me move this one down so that we can separate them and save like this. So once everything is saved and we're on the page, what do we need to do? Just click on 2 and click. Can you see we are getting this? It's giving me the same element. So you can select one element in different way. It all depends on which way that you want to follow. And that's the thing about JavaScript. That you see someone doing it in this way, another person is going to do it another way, and you are going to have the same result. The major thing is that you are having the same result. The way you get there, I don't care, but we are having the same result. So whether you select it yourself directly from the top or you just get it directly from the form, it's always going to work. Just that when it is not part of the form, you cannot use this method. That's another thing. So one method will be available at a particular time, another one is not going to be available. It all depends on what you are trying to do, and based on what you are doing, you're going to see a lot of steps that you can follow. Some steps will work for a particular code and it might not work for another code. So it all depends on what you are doing here like that. So I'm not going to use this tool, so I will just comment it out, but I will leave it I will leave it there like this just for reference sake. So I'll be using the one that's coming from the top here, but as you can see on the page, they are going to do the same thing. So it all depends on which method that you want to use here. So now we have this input. So how do we get what is inside it? We've talked about all this in last time there. So here, for example, you can get the input value, which is going to come from this input element, because on this element there is a value there. So this is the one that is going to give you, this is the property on this element that is going to give you whatever value that you type inside the box. So that's what we are after. We are after the text that the user type inside that box. And based on what we have inside that box, we display the correct month. So now let me pick 2, check month. As you can see, it's giving us 2. So now if I increase it to 6, check month, as you can see, we have 6. So now what do we need to do? What we need to do is to check by using our if else conditional to check whether the value is 1 or is 2 or is 3 or is 4 or is 5, 6, 7 all the way to 12. But if it's not matching any of these number, then we are going to display error to the user. So don't forget, before you start doing anything, knows what you want to do. Then once you get what you want to do, the next thing is, how do I achieve it? So first thing, what do I want to do? What? The second thing, how do I achieve that stuff? So and that's what I'm following here. The first thing is we want to get the value from the box. Okay, I know what I want to do. So how do I do it? As you can see here, and this is the step I'm following to get the value. So the next step is for us to now display the month text based on the value that we have here. So that's what we want to do. But how do we do it? The way to do it is by using what I just talked about not too long ago, by using the conditional check, by using our conditional statement. So we're going to be using our if else statement to check whether the number is a particular stuff. If it is that stuff, we do this. If it is not, we do another thing. For example, here now, let me clear this board. So I have const b, which is value, to be 6. So what I want to do here, I want to do if b is the same thing as 6, I want to do something like this. Else if b is the same thing as 2 or 12, I want to do another thing, and so forth like that. And this is what we want to do. So if it is this, do whatever that is inside this curly brace. But if it is not this one, then check it again whether it is this value. If it is not this one, to keep doing it like that until we get to the last one. And if it not match any one of them, just display the error to the user there like that. But don't forget, whatever you are getting back from the browser, it's no number. I mentioned it last time when we are dealing with this email stuff or phone number stuff. Whatever you are getting back, they are not, even though it looks like number, it's not number. So it is string. Everything you are getting back is string. So you need to convert it to a proper stuff that you want. And you know that what we're expecting from this box, we're expecting them to type number. So in order for you to actually get number, what we used last time is to wrap it inside this number here. Once you wrap it inside this number here, everything that the user type is going to try to convert it to number. So for example here, don't forget, this is not number. This is not number. Why this thing going to UK? So this is not number. Even though to you is 67, but to JavaScript, this is string. So the normal number is this. Anything inside quotes, they are not number, they are string. And that's what you are going to get back. Whatever you type inside the box or whatever you are doing on the page, what the browser will give you or what JavaScript will give you is something like this. It's 67 you type. So if you type 67, the 67 you'll be getting back is this one, not this 67. Because the browser is representing everything as string. So in order for you to get this type of 67 from here, you need to convert it to number. And how do you convert the string to number is by using this method, which is something that we used last time. So if you pass this 67 there now, as you can see, to convert it to a proper 67 that we are expecting. Because 67 is not the same thing as 67. As you can see, they are not the same. Because this is string and this is number. They are not the same. So in order for it to work, you want to compare 67 to that other 67, then you need to put it inside number first. So this one will help you to convert it before it will now compare them. So to convert it first, then it will now compare them. And as you can see now, we are getting different results for the two stuff. And that's the reason why I'm putting whatever we are getting from our from this box into this number, so that it will convert it for us. And once it's done with the conversion, then we can start doing the checking. And based on the checking, what do? We generate a p tag. And once that p tag is generated here, or I'm going to generate a p tag, then we start checking. Based on whatever you have, we generate a message and we put it inside the p tag. And that p tag will be inserted inside our main here, because we are going to insert it. Oh, I actually put it inside a form. Okay, I'm going to put it inside a form too. So we need to put it inside this form. We need to append, which is what we've talked about in all these previous classes that we've had here like that. So what do we want to do? The first thing we want to do here is to, so let me put all the text. So create a p tag like this. So after creating a p tag, we need to put a text inside it, because the text we want to put is depending on the whether this thing is correct or not. And as it's going to be correct is when you input a number between 1 and 12. So if it is, we generate this type of p tag, or we already have the p tag, we put the message inside it. But if whatever the type is more than 12 or less than 1, then we generate this kind of a p tag. So which means we need to add this class on our p tag, and we add the message inside it. So the first thing, we need to create a p tag, and after that we check if so we check the month text based on the input value. So like this, and output. So output, or not, let me say output. Add class error to the p tag if the number, or if the value, so if the value is greater than 12 or less than 1. So this is when we're going to do the stuff. Then after this one, we're going to add the p tag to the page. So this is what we need to do like this. So the first thing we need to do is this error message. So let me expand it very well, and let me make this thing so let me make it go to next line, so that I don't need to open it too much. Let me wrap. Yeah. So this is what we need to do. So here we need to create a p tag. So how do you create element? We've talked about it. So const message. So I'm going to call it message tag like this. Message tag like this, but this is going to cause a problem later on. But for now, I'm going to do it like this and come back to it later on. So we're going to call this, or let me just say p tag. Let me just call it p tag. And how do you create the element? You can use document dot create element. So which element do you want to create? Pass into it, and it's going to create the element for you. So the element I'm creating right now is the p tag. So here we're creating a p tag inside this. We're creating a p tag. Then the next thing we need to do is to put the message inside the p tag. But which message do we want to put? The message is depending on whatever the text that the user input, or whatever number that the user input inside the box. So if you input 1 there, or look at it, if you input 4, can you see the month is April? So which means this is the message we need to show if the number that the user type is 4. If the number they type is 2, you see that it will change it to January now, because it change it to, this is 1, it will be January. So now we need to start doing the checking, and that's why I said check, because you have to check which number is inside the box. And you know the number we are focusing on, 1 to 12. So here we need to check if the input value is the same thing as 1. We know that the user, or the text that we need to put inside the p tag, is going to be what? It's going to be the month is January. So the p tag, then dot inner HTML, because we want to put a text inside it. So the inner HTML is going to be the month is January. And we can just, the same thing is what you are going to do for the other one. So else if, because what if it is not 1? So it means it might be 2. So here we check it again. If input value is the same thing as 2. So if it is 2, we know that the text that was supposed to be there is now going to be February like this. And that's what we do for the other month. So I'm going to do copy and paste for the other one, because I don't want to start typing them one by one. So this is going to be March. So this is going to be 3 like that, and we change the text, which is going to be March. Again, we move into the next number. So if it is 4, then this is going to be April like this, and so forth like that. So let me quickly put all the values. So this is going to be May like this. So else if, and don't forget, I'm using if and else if here. It's only one of them that is going to pick. I've talked about all this in. You can go and check the video on this conditional stuff. So this is going to be June like that. So we have a 7. This is going to be July. Then the next one is 8. If the number that is being imputed is 8, then we're going to say the month is August. Then if it is the other one, which is 9, then we know that this is going to be September like this. So what if it's not 9 and it's now 10? We know that this is going to be October like this. What if it's not October and it is now 11? We know that this is going to be November. But what if it's not November and it is the last one, because we only have 12 months, then we know that this is December like this. Now, what if it's not any of this one? That's what this error message, that's where we need to add the error message. So else, we know that every other thing that you're inputting did not match 1 to 12. So if you input any other thing, we don't care. What do we want to do? We want to add the error class. We want to add the error class to the p. So what we just need to do here is the p tag, then dot class list like this, then dot add. What are we adding? We are adding error. Then after we are done adding the error, we need to add a message, because if you look at it, there's a message that is coming out when you input anything that is not what we are. Can you see? So this is the message. Please enter a valid number between 1 and 12. So that's what we need to put here. So p dot inner HTML like this will just be please enter a valid number between 1 and 12, and that's all. So now we've created the p tag, but the p tag is not on the page yet, because what you are doing, you are just creating it from JavaScript part. It's not on the page. We generated the p tag, we update the text if it matches any of these items. But if it's not matching it, we add a class error on it, and we put this text inside it. So we need to add that p tag to the page. And where do we want to add it? We want to add it to the end here, inside this form. So how do we do that? It's easy. We already have our form. And this form now, we can just put anything we want inside it. So we have this month number, then dot append child, because this is what you can use to add something to the end of a particular parent. And what do you want to add here? You want to add this p tag. But there's going to be some problem later on, because we need to remove whatever p tag that is there before. But for now, let's just start from the basic. We don't want to rush. So now let's go back to the page, and let me click on one and click on check month. Can you see the month is what? January. Now if I increase the number and click on check again, as you can see, the month is July. This is the error that I said that is going to occur, because we are not removing the previous one, we are just adding a new one. So it's always going to add a new one. If I increase it again and add it, as you can see, it's adding a new one. We need to remove whatever that is there before. And how do we remove what is there before? We have to do it at the top here. We need to check if there is a p tag there before. If there is a p tag, remove it. If there is no p tag there before, then we just continue with our normal flow. Because the first time you are getting to the page, as you can see, there is no p tag. But if you click, can you see now? Please enter a valid number between 1, because we've not entered anything, and it's not a valid number between 1 to 12, so you get the error. But now, if you impute the stuff, what do we need to do? We need to clear this p tag before we generate another one. So that's what I want to do right now. And how do we do it? What we need to do is to locate this p tag inside the form, because we know that there's going to be a p tag inside the form if something is there before. If it is there, we are going to receive it. If it's not there, it's going to be null. And if it is there, we remove it. If it's not there, then we don't do anything. So how do we select it? Is the same thing. So what we can do here is const old p tag. So I'm calling it old p tag. You can call it anything you want. So this is going to be document, then query selector like this. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for the p tag that is inside form. So, and what do I want to do here? So we need to do the checking, because you can't just say it is going to be there, because the first time you be getting to the page, there's no way you see it, and there's no way you know that the user is coming in for the first time. So you have to do the checking. So, and that's what I want to do. So if there is old tag like this, what do we want to do? Old tag then dot remove. So what do you want to do? You just want to remove the stuff like this. Or let me even console log it out, so that you see what is going on first. So let's console log it out. So log like this, log what's going on? Log, so old p tag. You see that the first time is not going to have anything. So let me even put a message beside it, so that it can be clear like that. So save it, run everything. So the first time that we're going to click on this button, as you can see, it's null, because at that time there is no p tag. But now if you click on it again, can you see that it's not having old? So this is the old one. Again, if you click on it again, it's going to, so we need to remove that old one from it first before we add a new p tag. And that's what this line is there for. We are checking, because the first time it will not be there. What you are going to get is null. And as long as you be removing something that is null, you get error. So since it's not there, we only want to do it when that thing is here. So that's what this thing is doing here. So if there is anything like old p tag, then we just want to remove the stuff. So something is wrong here, not calling the correct stuff. So we want to remove this stuff. So the remove should be on it. So this is remove. And what it's going to do is going to remove itself from its parent. So that's the job of this remove. What remove will do is that it will remove this element from its parent. So now, if you click on it, first time, since it's not there, it will not remove anything. So just click, it generate the p. But now let me click a number and click on it. Can you see? It's remove that one first before now adding a new one. So again, too, if I remove this one to maybe 2 and check, as you can see, it removed that one of April and it's add a new one for February. So scroll up again and click on check month. As you can see, it's giving us September. But what if I include 98? Then this is going to be error, because there is no way 98 is going to be in between 1 and 12, because that's what we did here. Our condition is here. So we keep checking. If it is value is 1, this is the message for the p tag. If it is 2, if it is 3, and so forth like that, all the way to 12. But if it's not matching any of this number, any other thing, this is what we want to do. And that's what the stuff is all about. It's just a simple stuff, but as a starter, I know it can be tedious, but uh it's something that it's kind of simple there. So now the crease is still going to bring the error message, because this one is still the same thing. But if I put 5 and click on check, and as you can see, it's going to bring a mail. The computer is dumb, not because the thing is matching it. It's whatever you do here that is going to do. For example, here now, if I change this mail now, and I said it's going to be maybe a match, that's what the thing is going to print out. It's not that the thing is doing anything that have sense. It's whatever you input there that is going to do. So if I put 5 here now and click, can you see it will show match? Because that's the message I said it should print out whenever it is 5. So it's not doing any magic. It's whatever you put here that is going to follow. This is JavaScript. Whatever you put there, that's what it will follow. It will not do anything that you do not give to it like that. Now if I put it back at 5, then it's going to print out stuff. And if I put something that is more than what we're expecting, as you can see, it's going to print out the error message yeah, like that. So today is just like a starter for our class this year, and this is where we're going to be stopping for this class. In our next class, we're going to continue with what we started before, which is that age calculator. Not forgetting about it. So we're going to continue from there by putting its own JavaScript too, which is going to be doing some stuff that we have here. So I'm going to be sharing this code with you, because I told you that you're going to be doing one assignment for me. Can you see now, the number that the user typed here is not a valid number. So the line here is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be green like this. It's supposed to be red. That's what I want you to do. So anytime, this is the assignment, anytime the user inputs the wrong number here, and once you are there, instead of it to be showing this green line, the line is supposed to be red. Or if the number is a valid number and they've checked and it's showing this green down here, then this line is going to be green. But if it's not a valid number, then this thing is not going to be green. It's going to be the red color that I've set up. Your own is just to add a class when the CSS is there. Your own is to use JavaScript to add a class when the number is greater than 12 or less than 1. That's what you are doing. What you are doing here is whatever number the user input here, if it's greater than 12, it's going to be green. So you have to correct this in, which is the assignment that you are going to work on there, like that. So this is where I'll be stopping, and yeah, let me stop the recording.